Thanks for staying with us here on STL TV Live. I'm back with Miss Reena Hajat Carroll from the Diversity Awareness Partnership. She's doing so many great things in the community, all about diversity and inclusion. So let me ask you this. What is the biggest race issue in St. Louis, and how come we can't get it right, it seems like?
Yeah. And if I had the answer to that question, I
Right.
think I'd be rich. But it's such an important question, and particularly in the last five months,
Yes.
in the shadows of Ferguson and all of the other events that have happened in the region. I think the biggest issue with race in St. Louis is that we have been trained as a community to not talk about it. And so now we are being forced to talk about it, whether you like it or not.
That's
It
true.
is interrupting, disrupting, touching your life in some way. And we have to be real about it. It is a hard, complicated, and nuanced topic. And so I think that is part of the reason that we have not gotten it right.
So, Reena, let me ask you this. What's a tip? So if I wanted to broach the subject with a colleague, what is the proper way to do so?
Yeah. And so one of the things that we've developed in the last 5 months is content around how do you dialogue with someone versus debate with them.
I love that.
And that's really this idea of I want to hear your perspective. I want to be open to what you think. And it's moving away from this idea that I'm right and you're wrong.
And I don't need to always say anything. I just maybe listen, because if I listen more, I might learn more.
Yes.
Which goes into what you have coming up.
Yes, absolutely. So after August 9th, we really agonized as a staff and a team about what to do around the issues
That was the biggest
Michael Brown's
question,
death.
right?
Yeah, everyone was asking us, what do we do? And
Right.
what is the organization doing? And so we came up with this concept of listen, talk, learn. And what that means is it literally means that we want people to listen to one another and talk with one another and learn from one another what our different shared and lived experiences are, right? So as women of color, we can't say that our experiences are the same, right? That we have different experiences and that people need to understand what those are. And we can't say that all white people have had the same experience, right? And so when we can just listen to one another, there is just such an immense amount of valuable learning that happens.
And I love the order in which you titled your program, Listen, Talk, and Learn. Not talk first, right?
Right.
Because you have to listen and be open to the other person in order to share your own experiences and then learn from both in the exchange.
Right, exactly. And so to answer the question about the tips, though, one of the things that we say is helpful is just how you phrase your sort of your responses and your demeanor. So if you're smiling and you look open to having a conversation and you say things like, I think that's a really interesting point, or can you talk to me more about why you think something? Those are words and verbiage that really help having these conversations versus, I think that's really stupid and you're ignorant, right? That doesn't
Or
help.
I had a friend who did this and they didn't say that, you know, right? So you just have to kind of break down the barriers a little bit. And it's on a really micro level, it's people to people. It's not about race, you know. That's just like a outside thing. It's about race, but first let me talk to Reena and then ask her more about her history and her heritage and things. And so I think I love what you guys are doing. So how can people get involved?
Yeah, so we have about 4 sessions coming up between February and March, and they're open to the community, open to the public. They're free, and we just invite as many different people to join us. We want different perspectives in the room because if we only have the same perspective, we're not doing a whole lot.
Do you have to register?
You do have to register at dapstl.org. That is required, and we have them at different times of the day. So some are in the morning, some are in the afternoon, some are in the evening. So
are people just getting together to talk, or is it facilitated, or how does it work?
It is facilitated. So we spend the first 20 minutes or so doing sort of a slide presentation around unconscious bias, around racial demographics in the region. We talk about, we show 2 different pictures of Michael Brown, the very first one that Twitter used to distribute information about the story, and then the second one that
when he was a
NBC
graduate.
And so we show those 2 pictures and ask people to reflect on what you think when you see these different pictures, because they do have different connotations for folks. And so we go through perceptions and bias, and then we do a photo gallery. So we look at pictures from the 1960s to 3 weeks ago and ask people to reflect on history and what's happening today. And then the last activity that we do, which is really powerful, is a fishbowl activity, and that is where where we segregate by race, and we ask people of color to sit in the middle of the circle, in the middle of the room, and they have a conversation, just among us, and we talk about what our life has been like in the last 5 months, how it's changed, if it's changed. We talk about the talk. What does that mean, right, for parents and kids? And then we ask white people to sit in the center and talk about how their life is changed.
Reena, that's excellent. What's the website again?
DAPSTL.org.
And the forum is called what?
Listen.Talk.Learn.
Thank you so much. That's some
welcome.
really good stuff, and I love that. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank
you very much. When we return on STL TV Live, we'll chat with Mac Bradley from the Mardi Gras Foundation. Stick around. We'll be right back.